Madeline James. I am the debuting author of Because the Beast Came, and we need to work on book 2. So that's what today and tomorrow's vlog is going to be about. We are going to try to get all the final prep I need to do for starting the sequel, which is a lot of work. So I'll kind of recap what I've done so far. I have a video that I guess is coming out today in my time, kind of showing you a bit of my brainstorming process for this and kind of really making sure I'm being intentional about it. And I'll show you all the other stuff I've been working on with this and getting ready to go, because I want to start draft 1 on Monday. That's our goal. I want to start draft 1 on Monday. Maybe I'll have to do a few things this weekend. I'm not sure. We'll see. But first, I need coffee. I need breakfast. I need to wake up. And then we're going to get into it. So there's a few things about this that I've been a bit anxious about, if that makes sense, with starting book 2. And a lot of it is just that it makes everything in book 1 so final, which is very scary. And it makes all the world building scary, which I think has been, similar things that I've struggled with for getting the first chapters out because now you can get those off my newsletter. If you subscribe to my newsletter, you could read the first 2 chapters, which required finalizing things, like really finalizing what terms I'm going to use for things, what I'm going to call things, the names for things, right? Because now it's out there. And it's gone from this very malleable, fluid thing to something that is a lot more concrete. And it's kind of scary that everything I decide now, everything I finalize now going forward is going to be set in stone for future book series that I do in this world. Obviously book 2, all of that, right? It's really weird. It's a part of writing a sequel that I should have anticipated, and yet I still feel a bit unprepared to tackle. But we are going to do our best. So there's a few things that we need to get started with this morning once I finish my coffee, of course. The first is I'm going to need to finish getting my writing area set up, because there's a few things I've been moving around. I actually have a new desk now, which I've been wanting to get into floor sitting more. I actually have had a floor sitting, little mini temporary folding desk that I've had my laptop on for a few months, but obviously I can't do any of the stuff I need my full computer for, which is streaming, video editing, that sort of thing. And I also, when I got that, because it'll allow me to do the new one I got, which is a motorized sit-to-stand desk that can go as low as sitting. So it starts 15 inches and goes all the way up. So I can sit on the floor, and I can stand. There's a few cables that I still need to tweak because they kind of get caught as it's going up and down. So I need to figure out how I'm going to handle that so that I can actually go to all the heights. Right now it's fine for sitting and the floor, but I moved a cable and now it gets caught if I try and go up to standing. So I need to fix that. I haven't finished cleaning up the rest of my office, so it's a little bit of a mess right now. But then I think what we need to do is finish the last few bits of world building I need to do, which I've been expanding on that. I'll show you. And then I think what I want to do maybe is go through book 1, pull up Scrivener, pull it up, and go through, and everywhere I do any world building to make a note of it, right? So I'm thinking maybe I'll try Notion this time. I don't know. This is the other thing I've been really struggling with, is ways to hold my writing, world building stuff. Because in the past, I've done paper world building guides. and books and Bibles, whatever you want to call it, a world building Bible, a world building grimoire, whatever, right? But what holds all the lore and the history and the characters, the family trees and the world details and all the maps and everything, right? The problem is that it's not super flexible. Like, it's great in the brainstorming phase, doing that on paper. Like, I do really like that. But once it's getting into these stages where I'm writing, I kind of need ways to quickly update it, add details, expand it as I'm going. And so I think process-wise, that's what I'm going to need going forward. And obviously this is difficult because for the most part, everything I have is on paper for this project, for the Wells of Istri. So I have a little paper book, and then I have all my little paper cheat sheets that are on my board, which I definitely still need. Those are really helpful for me to just kind of have it there, know where in my, like, I know in my brain where I need to look for a piece of information, because like I have a bad memory, but I can know, okay, I have a sheet of paper that has the hierarchy of the military organization in Istri, and I can look at that and I can be like, ah, yes, this is what their titles are, this is what the different colored belts mean, like this is the different like awards and whatever, right? Like I have that, I know where it is, and that's easier for me to remember than what the actual information is. I don't know, my brain's, I don't know, it's probably an ADHD thing, but I need something more, because there's also so many things in the book where it's like, okay, I came up with stuff as I was writing, but it's just in the book somewhere, and that has to remain consistent in book 2 and in later books, right? It's not like I could just read through and like, you know, this piece of information is just on an island, right? Like now there's a whole thing. So I think what I might do is try to set up a Notion world building guide book, world building Bible, I don't know, you know what I mean, and just go through book 1 and move every piece, like copy paste it over, like, okay, here's a character description, here's a setting description, here's what I named this character, because there's a lot of little things like that that are in there that I don't want to lose. And the thing I need to keep in mind in as well is that my plan for like how I'm going to publish books, how my books are going to come out, is I'm going to have this first duology, which is the first 2 books in the Wells of Istri world. So it'll be a complete story, right? But I want to come back, and there's a lot of other stories I want to tell in this world that sort of piggy off the history and the timeline, and I don't anticipate them being in the exact same place unless like everyone demands that I write Ariana's sister Hadima's story, in which case maybe I'd go back and write that. But at the very least, all the world stuff, all the mechanics of the magic system and the society and the culture and like all these details, I need an easier way to be able to reference them in the future. Because once I'm done this duology, I'm going to go back over to my craft potion story, which is in a whole different world, a whole different magic system, right? And I'm going to write whatever that standalone that I'm turning into some length of series, I don't know, is going to be. And then after that, I want to go and write in Pillar World. And then I'm going to come back to Wells of Istri, I think. So it could be years before I come back to this, and I need a really good, concise place of having all of this written down. So I think that might need to be my first priority, even though it really isn't part of outlining book 2. Yeah, I do have a rough outline already that I did. Like, I have a couple of, like, you know, arcs and stuff planned out, and I've come through and worked on the timeline, which I also need to tweak for book 1 a little bit, just to make sure it's as concise as it's going to be for book 2, because it actually matters a lot more in book 2, so I need to, like, not make that come out of nowhere in book 1. So yeah, so that's kind of, I feel a little lost right now, to be completely honest. I feel like I have a lot of stuff to do, and it's been hard for me to get my brain wrapped around it, and I just feel a little bit floaty. Like, I have all these disjointed things that I need to pull together and make work, but I cannot express to you how excited I am to start drafting again. Like, to be honest, I'm actually so excited to tweak some of the things I finalized in book 1, where I'm almost tempted to just go back and do that first and then dive into book or draft 1, which it's September 11th. Didn't even realize that. Wow. Okay. Yeah, it's September 11th. I have, after today and tomorrow, I have basically 2 weeks and a couple days left in September, and then it's October. And October is when Cody the Writer's 90-day challenge starts for Q4. So part of me is like, what if I actually, instead of outlining right now, What if I just get all my stuff set up and organized to go into the copy edits for book 2 instead, or for book 1? And I do that for a couple weeks, and then I start the first draft of the other book in October. I don't know. That's not what I said this vlog was gonna be. I'm not sure. I need to think about it. But first, I need to finish getting my studio set up so I can work in there, and then I think take notes on what's in book 1 right now and go through and do that. So maybe we'll start with that. Okay, so it's 11:30. I need to make myself lunch in a minute here, but I wanted to check in because I've basically been doing admin stuff all morning, and like a lot of it is stuff that I needed to do. Like I got a lot of streams scheduled, I got stuff set up in my Discord for like all my Patreon events, and like, you know, I've done a lot of stuff prep for my new conlanging series. But I'm realizing I'm procrastinating because I'm having trouble committing and deciding on how I want to track all of my world building stuff for this. And I know I mentioned this earlier, but I'm just very overwhelmed at the idea of trying to like get all this set up and do all this kind of stuff. So I think what I'm going to do is I am just going to bite the bullet and use Notion to try and get this set up and go that approach. I don't know. I'm just going to lean hard into that and hope that works for me, because I need to make a decision and just go with it. And if for some reason it doesn't work for this project, then I'll figure something else out. You know? So that's where I am right now. But I have some notes here, I think. Yes. And I want to talk real quick about what I have done so far to prepare for starting to write, because I am, if you aren't aware, a very, very big plotter. I am not a pantser in any fashion. I really struggle with world building or coming up with character details or coming up with anything on the fly, really. I just like to really focus on, I don't know, the actual writing part when I'm writing. I have to do all the stuff beforehand, right? So what I've done so far, right, is I've done some brainstorming and high-level planning. I have a sort of temporary outline, which I think is in my Remarkable tablet, wherever that ended up. But it's basically just, I started with like a timeline of like, okay, for the main plot, these are all the things that need to happen for the main plot. And then I added some notes of like, okay, so for some of these side things, these are the things that need to happen. And I kind of just have like a bunch of little timelines on one page as I kind of brainstorm that high level stuff. And then I worked on putting it to like a calendar based off like travel times and how long the events are going to be and like what needs to happen when, so I know how much time I have to work with once I get into nitty-gritty scenes. And then I've started to brainstorm like, okay, here's all the individual scenes that I think need to happen. Some might be combined, some might be more like sequences of scenes, but they're like, these are the things that have to happen at a high level. So that's kind of what I have right now. I also made myself a list of world building stuff I need to add, because again, this is book 2, so I have a list of like characters, world building details I want to expand on, new settings I need to add. So I've made myself new cheat sheets for my board to put over there, which are very fun. So I have some little drawings. I updated some of my graphics to make them better going forward. And yes, I've done that. I still have some stuff that I need to do and finalize, but I want to get I go back and forth a lot where I'll do a bunch of world building and then do the outlining, and then once I get to the point where there's enough things that like I feel like I need to flesh out more, I'll go back to world building or character work and go through that until I feel like I'm ready to write. So I need to start getting all of that information into the Notion that I'm going to use. I'm going to start pulling like outlining stuff into that as well. I want to finish any cheat sheets I need to have, because I know there's like 1 or 2 that I still want to add maybe. And then yeah, I think that's kind of what we're working on. So I'm going to try and get this Notion thing started and then feed myself and then work on that a bit more before I have a stream in 2.5 hours, a world building stream that I'll need to like get ready and prepped for. But this setup is a lot easier for me, which actually, let me show it to you real quick. So it's all together. I have 2 monitors now. They're bigger than I wanted, but I couldn't find good quality monitors that were like 24 inches. I also have these new speakers, which are way better than my old one, which would add effects to my videos. Like these are, I think they're called like monitor speakers or something. Monitor outputs, I don't know. But basically it's clean audio so I can edit better without hearing it already having like filters applied to it, because I was struggling to identify when the audio in my videos were off because I couldn't hear it. So I have that. I have my microphone down here. I have my camera up here now, so it will come up and down with me, so like I could film sitting or standing. And I have this little light up here now, which is kind of hid in the back, that will hopefully work, so I don't have to get like any of my big stuff out. You know, I don't know. I think it's hopefully very functional and will work well. And we're just gonna kind of have to see and adapt as we go. But yeah, it's annoying because like all my notes are way over here right now, so yeah. But eventually that'll change. But that's what I got going for now. Okay, so ignore the laundry I have going, but I have set up the Notion. I've set up the books initially. I haven't started putting anything in it yet, at all. I am a little overwhelmed. I am not sure if I want to start putting world building information in there or if I want to start putting in like scene information first. I don't know. I think I need to bring it up, but I think I need a little bit more time to do this because it is already 1 o'clock. And I've taken 0 breaks today, even for lunch. I kind of ate lunch while I was doing this. So I'm kind of feeling a little bit like, you know, like, and I need to start my world building stream at 2, which is in an hour, so I need to prep for that. So I think I'm going to take like a little bit of time just to like digest a little and think about this. And then I don't know if I'll have time to come back to this today or if it'll have to be tomorrow morning, which would be so sad, but I don't know. I feel like I need way more time than I have, but we'll see what we can get done. Okay, so good morning. I feel like I start every video like that and I don't realize it until I'm in editing, and every time I start a clip I'm like, so, okay, whatever. I am getting everything pulled up now. It's 8 a.m. It is Friday, and I want to be ready to start drafting on Monday, and I'm struggling to see how that's going to be possible. But my goal is to... I've done some thinking on this, right? I think my goal is to try and focus on getting the higher level world building stuff into Notion, so things that will be relevant for other books, whereas things that like aren't relevant for the wide series I might not bother, or I might do like slowly put them in, not necessarily right now. But that's my thought right now, and then I want to be able to start moving my outline into Notion, because I feel like that would be a good idea. But yes, that's kind of the goal right now. I do still want to kind of try to go through the other draft if I can. However, I don't necessarily know if I will be able to. We'll see. I'll try to. It just might not happen like immediately. Okay, so I've got this up. I've got all these things in here. The other thing is that for my another world building project I've been doing with my patrons on Patreon only live streams is for Pillar World, which is a world setting that I'm going to do some future books in. And we're going to start setting it up in Notion, like the actual world building stuff, because we're at the point now where it's not just like sketching some map doodles. So I need to make sure that my space is like safe to show, right? And that there's nothing in any of the like labels that's going to be problematic for that, you know? So I'm gonna do a little bit of just making sure it's organized properly, which will be good because being organized is good. Yeah, and then I'm gonna start pulling in things that I need. I don't know if I want to go, I don't know. Let me get everything up and see what I feel the most motivated to start putting in there, whether that's the outline or high-level world building stuff. We'll see. Okay, so I'm trying to turn my panic around. because I got a Notion template for world building that has like information to put all your character details, and like it links everything with like characters and events and world elements and locations, and like it does the most. And this is the problem I have with things that are like specifically designed for this, is that they're too helpful in my opinion, where it doesn't let me think or organize things in a way that fits how I'm doing it, which I'm learning is very, very important for me to be able to do that, which is sort of why I like doing things on paper, is because I can structure it and organize it in any fashion I want. So what after like an hour of just kind of really struggling to get started, I decided what I needed to do is set up my own version that is just exactly what I need it to be, and I can expand and like add elements as I need in the future. So that's, I think, what I'm going to do. And so that's obviously a lot of work, but like that's the thing with all of these, is they take a lot of time to set up. Like it's the same thing with Notion, with Obsidian, with World Anvil, with Campfire. Like they all take a lot of organizational setup. The paper doesn't take, but I do think I need to do this. So in order to kind of try and figure out how all this works, because it is kind of complicated and I'm not super into like, I don't want to say I'm not into tech, because I'm very into tech. I just don't like learning new tools. Like it's hard for me because I don't know if it's the ADHD, but like I struggle to remember things. So like even if I learn something once, it's doubtful that I'm going to remember it in the future. So it's a huge undertaking for me to figure out new systems, but I'm using this now for all of my like author planning. I'm using it for all of my work with my my sister, aka marketing manager. So like we have like a team space, and like all of our to-do stuff is in there, and our content calendar's in there. So like I have to use this. I am using it in many fashions, which is sort of why I decided I should do all of this in Notion, because then I'm only learning one tool, and hopefully, like, because I'm using it so frequently with everything, I'll stay on top of it. That's the goal. So I'm sort of using the template I got as a, like, learning tool, where I'm kind of trying to copy what's going on in there and look at how they set things up, which has been a little bit of a struggle, but I want to kind of show you the test one I'm doing, which is for Pillar World. I started initially setting up some of those pages so that I have, like, an idea of what I want it to be like. Oh, and here's the other thing that bothers me about the way it's set up in the template I got, is you can create scenes, and those scenes can belong to a plot line, but a scene can't belong to multiple plot lines, which I don't like. I don't like at all. So I want to set one up where I can have all of my plot lines, but instead of each scene having one, and like each one of those being separate, I can have a scene be a part of multiple plot lines, right? Because you can have a scene that moves the main plot and the romance forward, or also has stuff in the mystery, right? Like, you shouldn't have, in my opinion, single duty scenes, right? If you can make them do multiple duties, it is better. So I want to do that, and also it only lets you put scenes in one chapter, which that is not how I write. When I do multi-POV books and I switch POVs on a chapter with a new chapter, then like, yes, that's how I do it, but the way I outline book one is very much based off, I think it's Story by Robert McKee, I think, where they talk about doing chapter breaks and stuff. I think that's which one it is. But I basically, there's certain points in a scene structure that are good for having a chapter break. Some of those could be a new scene. Some of them could be like the big like twist of the like climax in the scene, right? Like this thing happened and you're like, oh my gosh, how's it gonna go? Or it could be the, this is the result, but then it's like, okay, but what does that mean? It could be you end it on a big emotional reveal, right? So like if you have the action part of the scene and the like reaction part of the scene where they're processing and thinking and making a new plan, ending a chapter like on that, okay, this is my new plan, this is my realization, right? Anything you want to have a big impact, right? Trying to end a chapter there is really good. And I think I did this pretty well in book one, because I got really, really good feedback on the pacing of it and breaking up chapters and like always wanting to go to the next chapter, right? So I got really good feedback on that. So I think I'm doing it right. So the thing is, scenes then can be in multiple chapters. You can have part of it in one chapter and the other part of it in the next chapter. Which, when you're doing something like this and trying to organize like what scenes are in which chapters, it gets kind of messy. So I think what I need to do is have scenes be able to be in multiple chapters. And I'll just have to figure out how organizing that works. But also I won't know which chapter scenes are going to be in at first. So I don't even need to create any of the chapter nonsense. Like, that doesn't even need to exist. It can just be scenes and which plot lines they're in, and then I can look at the scenes of individual plot lines, and like I can set up a whole dashboard to look at this stuff. But again, that is probably going to take me all day to do, which means I actually won't be making any progress on actually getting my outline fleshed out, but hopefully I can get pages set up and all of that, potentially. Which also means I can probably show you all what I'm doing in here before I even actually start using it. So let me first show you what I did for Pillar World, just to kind of give you an idea of my little sample, and then I'll start working on the one for my book. Okay, here we go. So this is my Notions base, which we're not going to get too into, but basically I set up a Story Worlds page, which I think I can go to here. I have a little database, one of which is Pillar World, which I should probably add a cover. No, we'll do that later. I'll do that later. Okay, but within Pillar World, right, I have started to add some databases, which are basically just, and this is the thing where like trying to get it all linked is tricky, but these are basically pages that have databases inline inside of them so that I can click on them and have more information. So I have, like, under world building, I'll have regions, and within regions there'll be pillar clusters, and within pillar clusters there'll be individual pillars, right? Because it's essentially a world of sky islands, and then individual locations on the pillars. And the way the template I was using works is it just has locations, and it has all the same properties and all of those locations, which isn't right what I want, right? Because each region is going to have its own naming language, is going to have its own set of like dragons to an extent. Each pillar cluster is going to have its own society, right? Each individual pillar will have individual locations and maps and like climates and biomes and stuff like that, right? So like the type of information I want in these different granularities is different. Now, obviously I can do this custom because I'm doing this specifically for this world. I won't be able to reuse obviously this for other worlds, but learning how to do it means that I can kind of set it up in a way that will make the most sense. So I have these so far, and I have a spot for like plot structure things, and I have a spot for character databases. Obviously I have a lot of stuff to add here. And then I set up dashboards, and this is what I'm gonna when I'm gonna click on when I'm working on something in the world. So I have one set up for conlanging, I have one set up for world building, and I have one set up for spec bio. So spec bio is when I'm working on like the dragons and like the other flora and fauna of Pillar World. World building is like these types of things, right? I'm working on maps, I'm working on like physical locations. And then conlanging is obviously the languages. So I'm gonna have pages and things all within that. But which of these did I start playing with? So like here's world building, right? I started adding things in this one where basically I have a view of the regions table, a view of the pillar clusters table. And then I tried like a page of how Pillar World came to be. I might just inline that here. And then I have links to the conlanging and spec bio dashboards, and here's my table of contents. And like I can add whatever I want in here and set it up so that it looks nice. And I think this will be good because like I just need places for this, right? Everything in the other template is like you're selecting from like a drop down, like, okay, when you're building a character, here's a list of positive traits, and they're like items from a database with like descriptions. And like I guess that's useful for someone who doesn't know how to do anything, but like for me it's really restricting, right? Like I can look at that stuff if I'm like trying to brainstorm, but I don't want to set things up like that, you know? It doesn't work for me. So yeah, that's basically all I have here. I haven't started setting any of this stuff up. But yeah, so I'm gonna do this same thing for Wells of Istri, and I'll start probably with just the plotting side of it, which I might make myself like a little plotting dashboard and like that sort of thing. So yeah, I'm going to start setting that up now that I kind of have a vague idea of how I want to like actually do this. Alright, so it's Sunday. I've still been working on this in bits and spurts over the weekend. But I got to the point where I thought I was ready to start putting my outline in for book 2 and start developing that. I have like the scene templates set up and everything, but I realized that right now my outline is essentially just the order in which things happen. Which you may think that sounds like an outline. It's not an outline. It's like, these are things that happen in this order on these days, whereas not all of those need to actually be like shown, right? I could just summarize them. Some of them could be combined, right? Like the way I tell that isn't necessarily set yet. And also it doesn't combine like everything that needs to happen. So I kind of, again, got stuck. And when I get stuck, it means I need to plan more. So I decided to add something called plot points here, which, let me just give you a little tour. But I'm hoping through the plot points, I can actually expand on the outline and really get it solid. But let me show this to you. Alright, so here's my little dashboard thing, which I haven't changed too much, but I have in my pages and databases, which there's a few things I'm not entirely set on, but I have the plotting section, which has the series, which is basically just, it's a placeholder for books to group them together. The books themselves, the plot lines, the scenes, the plot points, the past events, right? And that's all pretty good. And the books are also up here. So if I click on one, I have spots for, you know, I put the map here, but I could put the cover here once I have it. Log lines, blurb, planning links. These are just links to other places in my Notion where I keep like metadata about my books. I have my brainstorming picture here just so I can reference it. Plot lines, scenes. I started to add a few. Characters, locations, that sort of thing. All of which I'm not done adding yet. But let me go down to plot lines and let me show you. I made a bunch of different like templates. So let me show you the mystery template. So this gives me some structures, right? So questions asked, clues, red herring, midpoint, game changes, clues / red herring, something goes horribly wrong, revelation, conclusion. That's sort of like my super rough high level idea of a mystery plotline. But again, it's going to depend on the exact one, and I can change this as needed. Lists for clues and red herrings, and then all the plot points that are linked to this, and all the scenes that are linked to this. And my hope is that I can go through every plot line one at a time once I have really established what they all are, and sit here and be like, okay, these are the plot points I have so far. This fills these plotline structures, but where am I missing pieces? Or I can look at the scenes and see if there's big gaps and be like, okay, I might need to add some stuff there. So I imagine this is going to be a lot of like clicking around and going back and forth. But then I also have a minor plotline template, which is simpler. It just has like the 3 things you need to be an arc, right? The start, the middle, the end, right? So whatever the inciting incident or starting situation is, the conflict, and the conclusion. And again, the same links, and then just some examples of conflict that could be in there. Pretty basic. And then I have major relationship, which, yeah, I have this plotline structure, which is a little bit more detailed, because they can kind of be in different orders, right? This isn't necessarily an order thing, but you have starting dynamics and meet cute, your inciting incident, and then all in those rising actions, right? You have various trials and temptations, various gaps, various plans, right? Various turning points, the climax, the falling, the resolution, right? But all this middle stuff kind of just depends on how much you have going on, right? And so my goal, I think select, yeah, should have all the types that I'd want to use for all these different versions, right? So I could have, I don't know. I'll have to figure it out, but like each type of plot line, I might use different types of plot points. Like, you know, it could be a pitch point. It could end up being a clue, right? That's more mystery focused. It kind of depends on what I'm trying to do, and I might change this like 18 times. But the reason I wanted to do this is because when I had looked at this before, it was basically like the version I'm basing this off of, right? There was every scene could only belong to one plot line, which doesn't really work for me, right? So I'm hoping plot points is the way I can do that, where each scene will show me all the different plot points, right? So then I can go here and look at this, which I set up. So this is the main plotline template. It's kind of similar. It gives me some of the structure, conflict, plot point, and scenes, right? Pretty basic. I think that's all the stuff here. So then if I go back here, I also added past events, which are kind of just going to be things that happen in the past that I want to remember when I'm looking at various things. So like it could be past events in a specific settlement or area. So like the village my main character lives in, right? I could have some lists of things there, and then when I'm in that settlement's page, I can see those past events, right? And I can also link them to characters and organizations and specific relationships, right? Just all the notable things that happened in the past. And again, I'm setting this up for book 2. I don't plan on like religiously going through and filling everything out for book 1, just the stuff I really need to reference for book 2. So I imagine it'll expand as I go, but that's sort of the plotting side. So then for the world building side, I still have my regions, which, do I have a template for this? I do. The way these work is I can link relevant pages. I can show all the organizations that operate in that region, and then all the underlying settlements and locations in the region, right? All pretty simple, nothing fancy there. There we go. Settlements and areas, and then buildings and locations are kind of similarly structured, and then I have a blank page for my naming language, which I'm just going to put all the details for that in there, maybe have like a glossary of all the terms and stuff that I've coined, just so I remember what they are. I have a section for my magic system, which is kind of just like a page that I started to flesh out, just so that I can reference things, and then various pages for different like world level things, right? Like the way the Guardian clans work, which like that will also sort of be an organization. I don't know. So maybe that'll all end up getting moved over there. I'm not sure yet, but I like kind of have those as placeholders. And then over here I have organizations, characters, relationships, and then like the mythos. So for my organizations, let's edit this. There we go. So I have the structure and the hierarchy, the history, rules and operating guidelines, all the relevant past events, the owned or controlled settlements and areas, and all the characters that are involved, and then like a section for other information, right? So then I have characters, which this is the one I did most recently. Wait, let's do minor first. Minor characters, which are pretty basic. I can add an image if I want. I have spots for the physical description, their behavior and mannerisms, goals/motivations. I should probably include a section for like skills or something, you know, just so that, you know, let's do that real quick. So we'll go here, header 3. Just something that I can keep track of. And then all the scenes that they appear in and all their past events, right? So I can go to a character, look at this, and make sure I'm including like a well-rounded opinion of them, right? Like I got everything in there. So then major characters are a bit more involved. I have some of the same things, but now I have this behaviors/skills section, Physical description, behavior mannerisms, talking dialogue style, clothing wardrobe, weapons fighting style, and then skills. For which, actually, I should knowledge. And then under motivation, I have their lie/misbelief, their wound, desire, hidden want, internal conflict, their stasis goal, and their evolving goals throughout the book. And then their origin, which gets more into this kind of stuff, starts with their initial belief, so what they believed way back when, which kind of will tie into their desire/want. And then all the crossroad moments that created the wound, right? And then the escalating ticks to action. And this is all from Story Genius by Lisa Cron. That's where this is all coming from, which I really love this. But what I should probably also add here... No, this should be header 2. I can't remember what the thing is called that's like that first action where... Let me look it up. Luckily, I have everything all tabbed really easily. It's their origin scene, right? What is the origin of their misbelief? So I have that. All those, like, things. Like, that's how the character became who they are, right? And then I have all their relationships, which we'll get to in a minute. All the relevant plot lines. All their scenes. All the relevant past events. And then a more detailed section where I can flesh out their history. Which, this is all, like, you know, pretty good. So then I have relationships. And here, it's pretty simple right now, but I have spots for opinions and dynamics and plot points and past events. And I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to use this yet. I need to get this all fleshed out, but I have relationships because this is basically where I'm going to store how every character like thinks of every other character where relevant, right? Like obviously I don't need to do this between every side character, but in some points I do. So I'm hoping this will really help with like the family dynamics. I feel like that'll really help, which that's kind of going to be an organization, right? Each family that I can flesh out. And then what I think I need to do is I think I actually need to add a parent organization so I can like have each individual like guardian clan underneath the guardian clan's like social structure kind of thing. Not that they operate together, but they have similar like rules and such. So I can get that put together. And obviously I don't have anything in here yet for like the magic things, right? So like I might add... The template that I've been looking at has something called like world elements, which are basically just things that exist in the world, right? So like the example they have is based off Harry Potter. So they have like Quidditch is an element, right? And you have all the details in there. And then under that you have some of the specific brooms, which like is fine, right? Because then for all of these, like you can assign the elements to different people or scenes, right? Like, so that you can easily trace them back. I'm not sure if I want to do that yet, right? Like, I don't have tons and tons of magic elements right now. Like, I have the magic system, which, like, I don't know. I mean, I could make those elements. I'm not sure if I want them to be stored in a database like that or just a page, because I can add a link to the page wherever I want, or I can just know where to find the elements, right? Like, does it really need to be linked to every single individual thing? I don't know. So that's something that might change too. But I have these relationship templates, but these aren't the arcs, right? So the plotline relationship arcs are something different. This is more like, I guess, more for static things, Whereas things that are like a relationship arc, I will probably move more into the other one. And also for like smaller scale relationships, this might be in there. So I'm not sure. It's definitely a little bit of a fuzzy zone, and I feel like I won't know for sure until I'm thoroughly using this, but that's kind of what I've got at the moment. And obviously, like, I need to add the poppies in here. I need to add, like, all sorts of things. I'm going to think about whether or not I want to do the world elements, because that could be a good way to do it, but maybe it's also not, you know? So let's add a relation here for organizations. We'll call it parent organization. Limit, probably only one. And then we'll make it two-way, which would be child organizations. Right, so I think these will add 2 rows to, or 2 columns to this table. Yeah, so parent and child. So when I add something as a parent, it automatically adds it to the parent's child column, right? Which, all that is fine. Fine, yeah. And yeah, this is, it's a lot. I need to actually start filling things in. I feel like this would be a lot easier to do for a brand new, like, world as I'm creating it and putting it together, but I think it's going to get fleshed out a lot as I work on the plot lines, right? Because, like, I know high level all the plot lines I want to have. They're not all added yet, but I need to develop them, and I think if I can see everything together, that'll help, because trying to figure out the scenes one by one, it's like, I can't see everything, right? I need to see everything. So, I don't know, we'll see, but that's kind of what I'm doing right now. I'm still not sure if I'm going to be ready to actually start drafting on Monday. I doubt it, but again, I think all this work is going to make the book better, is going to save me time in the editing stages, so, like, I'm still progressing towards a finished book. You know what I mean? Like, this is not a waste of time. But, yeah, let's see how much I can get done before I need to help my kids clean their room, right? If it hasn't already become abundantly clear, this 2-day wrap up all my outlining stuff so that I could start writing on Monday is not, in fact, happening. I think I underestimated how much time this would take and also how much I wanted to get done, and I think this is all good. It's moving me in the right direction. But I think we're actually going to end the vlog here, and the next one we'll pick up as we try and see if we can wrap this up probably before October for the 90-day writing challenge by Cody the Writer, perhaps, maybe, we'll see. But yes, I hope you have fun. I hope you're excited for a productive Q4, and I will see you in the next one.